Good evening and welcome to the Minions of the Zoo Saturday edition. I'm your host and keeper of the Harry Channel, and with me tonight, our minion SkepTock.
Hey, everybody.
And Serenity Star 13.
Hello.
You know, when I first started hosting, I thought I'll do it slowly so that I don't screw it up. And then I started trying to do it as quickly as possible. And all that
When
I'm
you say
used,
doing it quickly, what do you mean? Do you mean rushing through the
yeah, just rushing through that intro. You know, just go through it just as fast as possible. Because it seems somewhat perfunctory. I think I finally, after how many years have we been doing this? Like 3, 4. Let me say, I finally found
some of us longer.
the right speed, the right speed for that intro.
We've been doing this almost 5-6 years
Yeah,
because it started before the 2020 election.
Well, I've been doing it since 2017.
You're the grandfather.
Well, yeah, I was in the second astronaut group after the originals, after the Sanguine Mathghamhain reject group. Then I was in the group 2 astronauts.
Yeah.
all right. Well, so far we've got one person in the chat. It's nothing to see here. So I think even I can say hello to nothing to see here. I don't need Skep's help just yet.
Hey, nothing.
Nobody with like a really esoteric name. You know, one of my alt accounts, which I really like, is Sunfish Are Terrible. And I just like using that to make comments when Sunfish lovers are on a stream. I'll just like show up if Sora or Jenna or somebody are streaming, and I'll just put comments in the chat that way. I used to have it. It used to be called Pluto is Not a Planet.
All right. Just piss them off. Just go in and piss them off with your
You're
name.
just a contrarian, Harry.
It's my alt/contrarian/shit disturber channal that I keep just for emergencies.
Yeah, I thought about
Bad
doing a alternate user called Lay. But I don't think enough people would understand.
No.
Get the reference.
Bad Harry.
Did you ever listen to the Grammar Girl podcast?
It rings a bell, Grammar Girl.
Her real name is Mignon Fogarty, and she streams under the name Grammar Girl. And it's actually actually a pretty good podcast if you want to just learn a little bit about grammar.
This is on one of my lists of things to check out, I believe.
Yeah, she does things on like, like lie, lay, that lie. She does that kind of stuff. Goes through, I mean, she's got hundreds of episodes at this point. There's a pretty deep catalog of stuff, and it's good. It's actually, it's actually pretty good stuff.
English has a lot of words in it.
And Richard Head has joined us.
Hello.
Howdy.
Hi, Dick.
The chat is so slow tonight, I can even keep up. Because normally in the chat, they're like, oh, Harry's not reading chat. No, I'm just struggling to juggle all of these screens competently, without just nuking the whole show accidentally. But, it seems like it's going to be kind of a quiet night. So we can kind of take our time on talking about topics. So speaking of which, this is usually where we get caught up a little bit. Serenity, do you have anything you'd like to share with the class?
No.
No.
I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah.
Was there anything in the Discord that sort of hit you as like really important to talk about? Is there anything that you definitely want to talk about? No is a perfectly good answer.
I don't think so. I was excited about the thing that the James Webb Telescope saw about a month and a half ago, the red planet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of excited about that, but there's not too much we have on it right now, so there's not a heck of a lot to talk about it. It was neat and the pictures are really pretty.
The thing about the exoplanets is it always starts with an illustration, an artist's illustration, and it's like, oh God, I wish the Webb could actually resolve something around 40 light years away that well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing. I'm like, I really, really like it, but at the same time, it's like it's just kind of, there's not much we can do about it until we get either a better telescope or we get more light or something.
Yeah, well, okay. So when I was a little kid, because I'm not as old as Skep, not by a long shot, but when I was a little kid, all of the illustrations of other planets were pretty much just illustrations. They didn't have any of those pictures. They didn't have the crappy pictures from Pioneer 10 and 11. They didn't have Voyager 1 and 2 pictures. This is all stuff that happened when I was a little kid. and a teenager. And so I got I got to basically grow up in these super exciting times where things which were just blurry images through the Hale telescope would suddenly become like real, and you would
the
just
Hale telescope at Mount Palomar.
At Mount
200
Palomar.
inches of Cassegrainian excellence.
It's a gigachad ginormous mirror, just one mirror. None of this compound, like just add the mirrors up thing. Just like, no, we're just going to make a 200-inch mirror for a telescope.
One pour. They got it right in one pour.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yep.
But yeah, they were all illustrations, except for, I mean, we had some pictures from the moon and there's a few things you could see, but they'd say, well, what does Saturn look like? Well, you'd get an illustration. It was all illustrations.
Right.
So
Here's
yeah,
what we think Saturn looks like.
But now it's just the exoplanets that are like that.
Do you remember when Voyager sent back the pictures of Jupiter?
I did.
We just went crazy. We just said, we're here. We've arrived. Star Trek's here.
Well, the Pioneer missions, I think, were in some ways more fun. And the reason...
because they were first.
No, not because they were first, because they were grittier and more real-time. When the Pioneer missions took place, people would go there and, like, PBS would do, like, 24-hour coverage for days.
Oh, yes.
Showing everything. And they would, like, have cameras behind people at mission workstations, and you'd see the scan lines of images coming in. These things hadn't even been processed, right? You would see it right up close.
Line by line.
And by the time you got to Voyager, they actually showed you far less, and it was always in the form of a press conference. Like, here's an image that we put together, and it was still cool, but you didn't really feel like you were live.
Process.
Yeah, you didn't see the process. You didn't see how the fudge was made. I don't think that's a saying, but just to get the general idea.
That's
No.
bad. That's not a good one.
Yeah. No, I know. But anyway, so I'm getting completely off track. No, I think anything involving space is pretty cool. Did you guys look at that animation of falling into a black hole that I linked?
Yes, I did.
That was pretty fun.
That was pretty amazing.
So, Skep, anything you want to share with the class?
Yeah, actually, I do have something. It's a little bit personal. Guy I met, who is, famous, obviously, William Anders, was a member of Apollo 8 and occasional acquaintance and business or, service associate and aeronautical associate of my dad. I got to meet him one time, strangely, not through my dad, through something else, and just a grippy grin kind of thing. But he was very nice. Dad said he was very nice, very, very humble man, very, he's a major general, an electrical engineer. He was also a nuclear engineer. He had a master's degree in nuclear engineering, or maybe it was a master's in aero and undergrad in nuclear. Anyway, you understand, he's a mathematician's mathematician. And he was one of the first 3 people to leave low Earth orbit and travel to the moon. Special note there, Ralph Cramden never sent Alice to the moon prior to Apollo 8.
So it was an empty threat at best.
It was empty threat at best, yes. But these 3 actually went to the moon. And he took the iconic Earthrise photograph, that picture of the colorful blue marble Earth with a slice of the moon in the foreground and against a black sky. Just absolutely stunning, startling photograph. That was another photograph that came back from space that just blew our minds. That was unbelievable. Simply unbelievable.
Well, it wasn't just like pull out your digital camera or your smartphone. That was done on film. He had to actually look at the exposure values, the light available, and go, okay, this with this f-stop and this thing. And then they had to put the film in a special container so that all the radiation didn't destroy it. And it wasn't developed until they got back on Earth.
Yeah, have you heard the recording of when he's about to do it? I've actually heard the recording of him talking with Lovell. They all went. He and Lovell are looking at. Borman, of course, is going through some steps and procedure because he's that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But the two people who aren't accountants on that space plane are just absolutely fascinated by this, and you could hear them talking, and Bill Andrews says, "Give me the long lens," or Jim Lovell says, "I'll get the long lens," and you get and he tells you, and you know that he told him to set the exposure, but you can't quite hear it, and that is the moment when you hear a click click click, and of like a lens being screwed in, and then you hear the click of the shutter, and that was actually the moment, and that's actually captured on the Apollo 8 recording.
Yeah, well, you can
That's
fix,
on YouTube, by the
but you
way.
can fix a lot of problems in the darkroom, right? So
Yes.
there's things you can do if it's not exposed properly to sort of fix it. But back then,
Yep.
you can't fix focus. So if he takes that picture and it's one of those things where he doesn't know what he's doing, then the foreground is going to be blurry or the background's going to be blurry. That's why he needed that long lens, and he needed to set the aperture just right so that
Sure.
depth of field it looks clear in front of me and it looks clear off to infinity. That's a much harder shot to get than I think most people realize, because camera phones have made it way too easy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how many skills I abandoned when I put down my old Konica SLR and picked up my telephone to start taking pictures. I hate that it's better.
Well,
I hate it.
Yeah, well, as soon as humans start moving around, that little computer that says that's a human face, set the focus so that we get as many faces in focus as possible. That's actually really good.
Yep.
Have you tried taking pictures of like somebody on horseback with a film camera? It is insanely hard.
Yes, if you get a good picture, it's locked. Actually, in my case.
Yeah, pretty much.
But anyway,
The reason why they do the 20 or 50
Anyway,
or 100 bursts.
my point that I wanted to get to about Bill Anders.
Oh, the point.
is that, yes, he was 90 years old, and he was driving. He was flying a T-39, which is I think it's called a Mentor.
It's a training.
Trainer.
It's a trainer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a trainer. But this guy has flown all the things. He's flown everything. He was flying F-89 Scorpions equipped with MB-1 nuclear-tipped air-to-air missiles.
Well, I'll make it. That makes a statement. But the T-38 is the airplane of choice for astronauts to keep their flight hours up.
Yes,
That's
because it's a very
why
forgiving
NASA
airplane.
has a bunch of them, and it's like, if you're an astronaut and you need to keep your flight certification up for jet-powered aircraft, that's T-38. You just take one out. God, it would be so much fun to just own one of those.
Yeah.
If you were just made of money, that would be such an amazing plane to own, because it's just a little jet, one engine, but it's still a jet. I mean, it's still a proper jet aircraft. It's pretty cool.
It goes Mach 0.85. It's a fast jet. That's a fast fucking
God, that would be a
airplane.
fun plane to fly.
It would be.
Hey,
God.
Functional. Functional.
Functional, if you're talking, we can't hear you, bud.
Yeah, well, Functional's here almost, in spirit, but not in voice.
He's on the way.
Early, I was grabbing coffee.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Hi. So we were talking about airplanes, and you're a cat lover, right?
Well, I let me just get to my capstone statement.
Oh, okay.
My point is, the point of all this is, he was 90 years old. He was flying a plane doing an aerobatic stunt, and he went out that way. I'm just going to say that's a life well lived.
Oh, yeah, that's the way to do it.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, Functional, I want to show you this cat, because when I saw this cat, I thought you might be interested in this.
Real
No.
quick. Hi, Green Badger Outdoors. Hi, Mike R.
Thank you, because it's already gotten
you,
busy enough
Charlie.
that I can't keep track of everybody. I'm so weak. All right, let's see. We need to do browser presenting. That's the next thing. No, that's the wrong thing. It's in the wrong window. That's annoying. Let's just kill that completely. Sorry, I'm incompetent. Okay.
Harry, if you're incompetent, the rest of us are fucked.
Oh yeah, on the
All that
guy.
video.
Goodness.
What in the hell is that cat doing in that? Wait, what?
Regretting life choices.
That is not where that cat belongs.
Tell that to the cat. He loves it.
He does? That's insane.
He's chilling.
That's like how to die as a cat.
And this is why you should check under your wheel wells in winter.
Yeah, no freaking kidding. So how you been, man?
Oh, fuck allergies.
I know. It's been pretty bad. I'm taking tons of Zysol right now. It's good stuff.
Yeah, well, keeping busy, and that's why I kind of overslept on my nap.
That's okay. Well, we need somebody to represent Canada here since Sora's gone. So,
No.
so we're grateful that you managed to show up. So, do you have anything you want to share before we get started?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, and that would be what?
As I told all of you earlier, I was reveling in the misery of people who were angry about hostages getting rescued today.
Why were they angry about
media's
it?
backlash.
Because some of the terrorists were killed during the rescue operation.
Oh wait, hold on,
Yeah.
hold on. Keep going.
And the people who they rescued were the Jews.
Yes.
You mean those people who had the nerve to go to a music festival? Those people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you get all the usual players come out to play, and people like Emma Viglin saying stuff like, "Oh, well, they were military
Prisoners of
personnel,
war.
so they were prisoners of war." And it's like, okay, retard. First of all, them being captured was the declaration of war here. So no, they're not prisoners of war. They were the declaration of war. Secondly, Israel has a mandatory service for all citizens for 2 years.
Yep.
So yeah, technically everybody is IDF personnel, but the difference is some are active, some are not.
Yep.
Some have done their time, some haven't.
Yep.
And then a nice enough lady today said, "Oh, like I'm no fan of Israel," but posted a picture and said, "Tell me a picture of I believe she's 4 and like 6 months old. Like these sisters, one was 4 years old, one was like 6 months old, who were captured by the Terrys, and she asked in the Twitter thread, were these IDF personnel?" And I was like, that's a good point. So I was just reveling in the tears because, excuse me, it's not enough of the 100 and whatever missing persons and
168.
hostages, but I'll take as many survivors as I can get.
Yeah.
Well, it's also the fact
Never
that-
enough, but I'll take it.
Well, it's also the whole fact of, like, if they're prisoners of war, the Geneva Convention has very specific rules to prisoners of war. And by the stories and the videos and the pictures we've seen of how those people are being treated, if they were treating those prisoners of war that way, that means Palestine has no right to anything.
Oh, but Serenity.
I've read the Geneva Convention, thank you very much.
These chucklefucks put pictures of Noah side by side, a picture of like from the day that she was kidnapped, the picture of the video of her being kidnapped,
Yeah.
to one of the photos of her being released, and said, "Oh, she looks pretty well fed." And it's like, fed. You think the biggest concern here about a young woman is being fed?
Mm-hmm.
These people, I swear to fucking Christ,
I'm with Richard Head though. The Queers for Palestine at the
Send them.
Pride event was hilarious.
Send them there. Send them.
Yeah.
They'll love it.
Bon
They will
voyage.
enjoy
well,
it.
I mean, they don't have any buildings anymore, so they can't really talk off one.
You'll have to
That's
wade
not
to shore because
really-
the pier's
that's
gone.
not really a Palestine thing. That's more an Iran thing. That's
Yeah.
that's more of a Shia thing because that comes from a hadith from a Shia cleric. But the
I hate
Sunnis
camels.
just shoot them and hang them generally.
Well,
Eh.
shall we venture forth into the stuff we've got here, because we've got this SpaceX and Boeing both managed to do something successful. I thought the SpaceX thing was pretty amazing. Let me mute this or make it relatively quiet.
Didn't it not land properly?
It managed to land properly.
Oh, okay.
It almost didn't land properly.
Yeah, it almost did. It
I saw the
started
launch. I didn't.
melting. It started
Yeah.
melting.
So the
but
launch
it got
worked,
down.
and there was a control fin that was trying to melt, and you can see like that's not good. That thing
So
on
it
the
wasn't
bottom
perfect,
left
but
here.
It was still,
No, but it survived. It survived and it landed in the way it's supposed to. The controlled burn happened and it went down in the ocean. This is fantastic. I mean, everything barely worked.
He's going to catch this thing in a launch tower, basically.
It's supposed to bring it right back to the launch tower and then grab it.
yeah.
I want to see that.
But this to get from where they were on the first launch to the fourth launch in this short amount of time is pretty astonishing.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
And at the same time, Boeing can barely get their damn thing off the ground.
Boeing can't put together an RCS system that all their engineers agree works the same way.
Yeah.
Poor bastards.
Ghost
I mean,
Remedy.
they still got Starliner off the ground though.
Which is good, but it just took them a very long time. It just feels like the rate at which work is getting done is a lot faster on the SpaceX side.
Well, I mean, to be fair, SpaceX has been running around doing their stuff in a different form for a little bit longer than Boeing has.
The United Launch Alliance and all that sort of stuff has been around for a long time, too.
It has, but they've slowly been failing on their own, and Boeing's had to do their own stuff.
They've
Same
been-
thing with, what's the one out of
Your
Europe?
rights are running.
Oh, what's the one out of Europe? I can't remember the one out of Europe. but
ESA.
it's- ESA, thank you.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's
ESA
kind of
NASA
like,
spacecraft.
well, it's one of those things like, yeah, Boeing needs to be called out for the fact that it took 3 tries to get the damn thing out of the fucking chute.
Well, the
but-
door stayed on, which was good.
the thing didn't turn into, what was it, Apollo? Was it Apollo
10.
What was the one that caught fire? Apollo 10?
Apollo 10, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's like it didn't catch on fire and the astronauts didn't die. That's all I care about.
Yeah. Well, the good.
No, Apollo 1 was the one that caught on fire.
Oh,
and the
sorry.
astronauts died. Apollo 10 was
The one that didn't
Soyuz.
land. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one that went out but didn't actually go to the moon. They just flew around, circumnavigated it.
Yeah, and we met up with yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Did a rendezvous and docking and all that stuff.
I mean, ultimately, the tragedy from Apollo 1 probably saved hundreds of thousands of lives.
Oh, absolutely.
And it was it was definitely what you could call a teachable moment,
yeah.
because we learned a lot about how to not make electronics that catch fire.
That's usually a good thing.
You know, not that I wouldn't fix it if I had my history machine and go back and change it all, right? There's better ways to learn that lesson.
Oh, yeah.
But so many things changed as a result of that public failure.
Part of that problem was NASA. Anybody who came out and said something like, "Hey guys, we've got a problem. The crew cabin has a bunch of electronics that look pretty squirrely with respect to potential for arcing and putting charge across air, and thereby igniting the pure oxygen environment." That should have occurred to somebody. It probably did, but they didn't say anything about it because that's being a negative nabob of negativity, and you will be a nattering nabob of negativity.
Yep.
And you will be quickly marginalized in that environment. Suddenly, your ideas don't make any sense anymore, or the second guy with your idea is the one who gets all the credit. All those organizational things that move you out will be applied to you if you ever were to say something like that. That's considered, it's never heard a discouraging word. Used to be the unofficial motto around NASA, and it was you couldn't do anything that might impact the safety for and missing a date. Are you crazy? That we're astronauts, damn it. And that was kind of their attitude. And that caught them. They didn't learn anything. They learned nothing. They learned nothing about that problem because Challenger happened.
Okay.
Mike R, I'm hoping that's not actually real.
What?
I don't like the idea of Apollo 1's fire being like their audio being on YouTube for people to listen to, because we all know there's sick fuck out there who get a kick out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be out there. I'm certainly not going to seek it out.
It is out there.
That disturbs me on many levels.
If you listen to that, it says something about the type of person.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like-
just type in 2 girls, 1 cup before you type in the search for that. That's
It's
just
one of those
terrible.
things, like,
Christ.
if it's one
If
of
you
those
just want to
things-
be disturbed by something like that, not the sound of heroes dying.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, I understand if you stumble across it. I understand one time of morbid curiosity. We all know there's people out there who it's not morbid curiosity.
Yep. No, there
Ugh.
are some messed up people in the world, but
Ugh.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I actually knew one of the people who died in the second shuttle disaster. It's really weird watching somebody you know die on TV.
There you go.
That's not. That's a weird feeling. That was
Yeah.
not when I was. It's like that's not how I really expected today to go. But anyway,
It's a weird feeling to find out that the guy that you spent 20 minutes talking to in your dad's office 6 months before is burned to death in Apollo 1.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I kind of hated that.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing about NASA is there's lots of ways you can move somebody out of the way. I was going to say that the classic examples I've heard about from people I know who work at NASA is if you've got somebody you need to just make it safe, you put them in charge of giving them a clipboard and letting them go around and make sure nobody's daisy chaining any power strips in their cubes. And you put them in charge of like the kitchen remodel project, that kind of thing. That's the stuff you do with somebody like that, just to get them out of the way where they can't cause any trouble. There's lots of things. There's lots of grunt work at NASA for people that can't be trusted with the real stuff. But shall we move on to the next thing? Because I mean, the positive thing is SpaceX, it worked, and Boeing didn't kill that crew. Excellent, good job. Let's see. I feel like.
They have not made it back to Earth.
Yeah. I feel like we need a palate cleanser already. Let's do a palate cleanser. I have a lot of what I think are pretty good palate cleansers. How about this one? Now, you guys probably know that volcanic eruptions can cause lightning just because of the particulate
Static.
matter rubbing against each other in the plume coming out of this thing. But this is probably one of the best images of lightning coming out of a volcano I've ever seen.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Jesus.
Hell
And that's
yeah.
where lightning comes from, kids.
Yeah.
It comes from the volcanoes.
It was kind of like last week, the walking tornado. It's one of those things you completely understand where the idea of gods came from.
Yeah.
Like the gods of the volcanoes or the gods of the
Yeah.
sky. It's like you can completely get it because human beings anthropomorphize animals. Like, don't think we can't do that with massive.
Yeah, no, let's not do that. So remember the guy who drove on Zoom when he was being
Yeah.
so there's
The guy
there's
who never had a license or something.
well, there's an update on that. There's actually a little more information.
The News Detroit is getting to the
Yeah.
bottom of what's been an ordeal for Corey Harris of Detroit.
You've probably seen the viral video by now. It's gone around the country. He was the man seen driving during a virtual court hearing in Washtenaw County for driving on a suspended license.
What?
7 News
I used to live
reporter
in Washtenaw
Kimberly Craig
County.
was able to track Harris
It's beautiful.
down, who is
Oh my God,
adamant
these
that
people
the
are so long-winded.
suspension should have been lifted more than 2 years ago.
Well, tonight, Kim is back on the story with information that could help a lot of people facing a similar situation.
Trying to get to the bottom of why Corey Harris
Let's
is drunk
skip
now.
forward a little bit here.
What could have gone wrong? And still no answers.
They were supposed to have been lifted it 2 years ago, but they didn't.
Detroiter Corey Harris is talking about the Saginaw County friend of the court suspending his driver's license for child support, something he says he resolved 2.5 years ago, and a judge in Saginaw County rescinded that suspension.
Yeah, so basically he didn't pay his child support, and so they suspended his license, which is one of those things that I can't understand. You got a guy who can't pay his child support or won't, and you make it so he can't hold down a job by holding his license hostage.
Well, I think it was, if I remember right, it's because he wouldn't appear. He kept claiming that he what, like there was other things going on and he couldn't appear in court because they kept trying to get him to, so they suspended his license thinking that would make him show up to court.
Yeah. Well,
To run it through.
You certainly wouldn't drive there.
Well, certainly that's one of those things they do to people. I mean, I've heard about other people running into this where you take away somebody's ability to make a livelihood because they haven't paid something. That just seems weirdly counterproductive. And I don't mean to go full MGTOW on this thing, but it's just like, what the hell? I don't think that they should do that. I mean, if you want to get him on a bench warrant or whatever, fine. If you want to levy his bank account, fine. But why
well,
are...
the thing was that he was getting paid under the table. So they couldn't leverage Lena's bank account because there was nothing there. I think he was renting, so they couldn't do that. He refused to show up to court because they were like, well, if you just show up to court and tell us your side of the story, we can figure this out. He refused to show up to court, so they tried to do bench warrant. Bench warrant didn't work, so they finally went for the suspended license, thinking that would force him, because then he couldn't get paid under the table.
Yeah, but they do that to a lot of those guys, though. Anybody who's behind on that stuff, they just, as a perfunctory thing, do it in California.
At least here in
It's
West
not a
Virginia,
last resort at all in California.
Here in West Virginia, it's a last resort because they have to drive everywhere,
But
so they can't.
This is Michigan, and part of the reason why, and they didn't mention it here, that his license wasn't reinstated is because he got a state ID, and for some stupid fucking reason, Michigan doesn't allow you to have a license if you have a state ID.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. So if one is active, the other is not. And it boggles my fucking mind. Well, no, it doesn't, because this is the DMV. Who am I kidding? But the ineptitude of, okay, this should be lifted, should then say, okay, well, that means this person's state ID becomes invalid.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a screwed up story. I mean, bottom line is he still shouldn't have been driving. Whatever, the fact that it should have been changed 2 years ago, or somebody didn't file the right paperwork, or somebody didn't let somebody know to lift something, it doesn't matter. If your license isn't active, do not drive, and especially do not drive when you're on camera for a court appearance for not having your license.
Harry, he didn't know.
That he didn't have a license?
As far as he knew, his license was active as of 2 years ago. Nobody told him, not the DMV, not the court, nobody told him that his license was still suspended until this incident. And that's why he was like, wait, what? Because, I mean, our initial reaction was kind of funny because it looked like, oh, it's just some dumbass who, walked right into the problem. But no, he's completely innocent of everything here. But the fact remains that doesn't matter how inept that the system is.
Still funny.
Because when the system fucks up, you, or he, in this case, are still going to be punished for their fuck up.
Yeah.
But he still had a state ID, though. And at least in West Virginia, they have to tell you can't have a driver's license while you have a state ID. You have to get one of them revoked.
Well, yeah, but I mean...
That means at some point he was told... Or that person who didn't tell him needs to be fired. He needs to report them.
Yeah,
that's not the claim, and that's not where the evidence shows. Because the evidence shows there is paperwork in the courthouse or whatever, wherever this paperwork is filed, that says his license was reinstated, or had the ability to, or should have been reinstated, but never was. They fucked up. This man, James Boshert, is order rescinded. Is completely innocent, but he's still going to face the repercussions of their fuck up. I hope he sues them. I really do.
Because it was supposed to be his due diligence to make sure the license got reinstated, not...
He did. Serenity, you're missing the point. He went through the process of having his license reinstated 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But because of the ineptitude of whichever clerk was supposed to, push the button or rubber stamp whatever paper, didn't do it. They told him he was fine, that, oh, okay, well, your suspension is lifted. Never actually did the lift. And he was, I mean, it's amazing that he's been driving around for 2 years and never got caught.
He must be an excellent driver. Well, let's hear from the nice lady from the Secretary of State's office.
Sometimes it is simple as The Secretary of State's office did not get a clearance from the court that everything was done, but something happened in the wires.
Keela Crane is the deputy legal director.
Yeah, that's their way of saying we screwed up.
Yeah.
But it's still incumbent on him to make sure this stuff is 100% taken care of. But I feel a little bit guilty about making fun of him now, but only ever so slightly because I still think it's pretty funny. But
it still is.
It still is pretty funny. So let's move on.
Even though it is incumbent on you, if a person in authority tells you something, like if a police officer gives you a lawful order and says, please walk 3 feet to the left, you're like, oh, okay, walk 3 feet. Oh, look, he's trespassing. They can't do that. That's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
So in the court system, like for a person in authority to say, yep, everything's good here, you're fine. I mean, yes, it is your due diligence in a part, but to be led astray willfully by someone in a position of authority, and the court system is a position of authority over people, I mean, that kind of absolves you of any kind of wrongdoing, and at least in my mind, because that's the way it should work. I mean, again, if somebody is in a position of authority, you kind of have to assume that what they're saying is lawful and proper. And when you file paperwork, I haven't done too many things in the legal system up here, but I know that, if I file paperwork and get a letter from the court saying, okay, thank you, we received your paperwork and everything seems in order, I would expect whatever I was filing to be appropriate. I get really mad when these institutions fuck up and then try to not take responsibility.
I've worked for university systems and cable systems. I trust no one.
Yeah, trust no one.
I check a week after, 3 weeks after, then 6 weeks after. Every single time.
Because the consequences are bad if you don't
that's
check.
the reason why. Like I don't even trust my bank. So it's one of those things. Like I understand where you're coming from, functional, but I am of the human incompetence is rampant. So trust no one.
Yeah, don't trust anyone. But let's move on to the next thing. So it is the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landing, right?
Yep.
So President Joseph Robinette Biden decided to do his presidential thing. And at first I was going to do a comparison between his speech and Ronald Reagan's speech. Will you go away? And Ronald Reagan's speech from 40 years before. Two old guys, completely different levels of competence, right? And I thought, okay, that's not really fair. It's not really fair to compare Biden to the Gipper. So I'll just sort of set that aside. But I did like this Babylon Bee thing because there's some speculation that he may have been touching cloth or dropped a deuce or whatever euphemism we want to use here at the end of the speech. And he sort of did that butt-clenched shuffle off the stage at the end of it. I think we're well into elder abuse at this point, but that similarly, this article came out. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal where they said a 3,000 word story headline: "Behind closed doors, Biden shows signs of slipping." No pun intended. The Wall Street Journal reports that in meetings with the congressional leaders, President Biden appears slower and has good moments and bad ones. Now, the response from people who support him said what they're saying. Senator James, who attended the meeting, declined to go into details, but said these people who keep talking about what a dynamo he is behind closed doors, they need to get him out from behind closed doors because I didn't see it. Yeah, they were saying in the White House, he's a dynamo behind closed doors, and I don't think anybody is buying this at all.
Nobody thinks that Joe is a dynamo.
Nobody thinks that Joe is a dynamo. But the thing that reminded me of...
Incorrect. Skep, our favorite person, David Ackman, a.k.a. Bagels Fagman, actually seems to want to... He's going to die on this hill, and he seems to think that Biden is a dynamo and believes and spreads this propaganda. So
I saw that functional.
It's so... don't believe your lying eyes, people. He's fit. He's fit as a fiddle, and he's a dynamo behind closed. Oh, come on.
Well, Reagan's detractors would say that he wasn't very smart, and that's not necessarily untrue, mind you. he was extremely well read, and he was very good at knowing who to go talk to. He surrounded himself with some pretty competent people. Cap Weinberger, let's move him out of there.
That he wasn't good at
Yeah, he knew, but that's why he had guys like, Schultz, George Schultz, absolute fantastic American
Cap
hero.
Weinberger.
Yeah.
He was the front runner, like he was the face. He was an orator and a former actor.
I'm not going to say nice things about Cap Weinberger, but I will say nice things about George Schultz.
Cap Weinberger was good on paper.
He was excellent on paper and behind closed doors. But
I don't know about behind closed. Actually, behind closed doors, no, he was a complete prick.
So,
anyways.
Well, what this reminded me of was an SNL sketch, and I have to be very careful about how much of this I show because I don't want to get us in trouble. But there was an SNL sketch where they basically said President Reagan mastermind. And so Reagan, when there was like somebody in front of him, like a newspaper person, he'd act really stupid.
Best I could, given the very little that I know.
He'd do that, and then as soon as somebody'd leave the room, he would turn into this mastermind genius.
At 0800 hours, I want you to supervise the loading. 2, Regan. Yes, sir. Well, I'm afraid you're going to have to resign.
Anyway, so he's like just totally Johnny on the spot. And then it goes on, like people keep showing up and then interrupting the meetings. He has to go back to pretending to be stupid.
Yeah. Hello, little girl. What's your name?
Do that.
How good is that?
If we take out only 20 million, we'll lose roughly, let's see, that's
121,816.
Thank you so much.
So anyway, I like this idea of like the secretly brilliant president, because it seems like it's almost sort of a weird meme that they bring up every now and then.
I don't do a movie.
I don't give a shit what Joe Biden supposedly does behind closed doors. I want him out talking to the press, handling questions like a normal president, not this weekend at Bernie's thing they're doing.
If he's that sharp, why is he pretending to be stupid and senile
and saying crazy things that are verifiably untrue?
Right, exactly.
And it's not that I hate old people, mind you, because Dick Van Dyke, 98 years old, just won a daytime Emmy.
I wish he was president.
He actually has a pretty entertaining YouTube channel. I subscribe to it. It's not bad at all.
Is it really?
Yeah. He has ideas about things. Dick Van Dyke is great. And then
a YouTube channel, really.
And I don't know, Serenity, you seem like somebody. She's walked away, I think. Dog's barking. Okay. And then Pat Sajak finally retired.
I have a few thanks and acknowledgments before I go. And I want to start with all of you watching out there. It's been an incredible privilege to be invited into
41 seasons of Wheel of Fortune. 41 seasons. I think you should get the gold watch, don't you?
Yeah, if you are an MC of a game show and you do that in 5 different decades, you get the watch.
Yeah.
I think you get the watch.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
I didn't realize it was 41 years.
41 years, or 41 seasons. I assume there's one season per year.
He's a raving conservative.
Is he?
Pat Sajak is, and he was thinking about running for Congress. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yep. He is kind of a James Woods aligned person.
Oh. It's funny how age does that to people sometimes, and people who aren't Robert De Niro.
I have to back up real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, is Biden better or worse than somebody who invites a former actual Nazi into the House Parliament and then has the gall to on the 80th anniversary of D-Day proclaim how brave and valuable our soldiers were, who are veterans who survived, who took part in the D-Day celebration. I almost choked on my own bile because of how disgusted I am in said leader. So I would take. I mean, this is a big thing for me to admit, but I would take Biden over Trudeau because Trudeau isn't senile. Trudeau is stupid. Trudeau is evil. And I'll take a little bit of. I'd take a little bit of stupid and senile and bumbling over somebody who's just abject evil.
But the problem is Biden's not actually the one making the decisions. He's a figurehead, an empty shell of a man acting as a figurehead. And the people that...
I hate to tell you that, Harry, but that's most of them.
That may be.
That's why Trump is such a singular, polarizing force, that he was completely out of the system.
Well, he is his own man. You can't say that he's just an empty shell. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're comparing a lot of different various types of people, but I mean, it's the same up here with somebody like Trudeau. It's the same in Germany. It's the same in the UK. That's why Nigel Farage is back, because he's like, okay, well, I started something. I got my original plan done, and then I said, no, I wiped my hands clean of it. I got what I needed to get done. But he was looking at the state of things, and Farage is like, no, UKIP is back, baby, and I am all for it because I love to see anyone and everyone. And so far, we don't have that type of personality here in Canada. Maxime Bernier kind of screwed himself in that sense, and I don't even think that he was the guy, because even our own opposition, our best hope right now is still somebody who is a career politician, just the other side of the coin. So anyway.
Well, here's what the Biden deep state is doing. Here, let me give you an example of the kind of crap that comes out of their mouths. So this is the new CAFE standards that they're putting forward. 50.4 miles per gallon is the new fuel economy standard they want for passenger cars. That's for the
Newsom want like 400 or something?
Dude, this is the 2031 model year. This requires them to, how many percent per year? Under the new rules, passenger cars will increase 2% per year for, 2027 to 2023. Light trucks, a little more. I mean, it's not like this amount of inefficiency is just laying on the ground waiting for somebody to pick it up. This is like a huge burden on these things to make a car that actually meets this standard by 2031 as an average. That's an average. Luckily for all the soccer moms and stuff, the sport utility vehicles are actually usually considered to be trucks. But even those standards are changing. They're just trying to make it so onerous for people to own a gasoline-powered vehicle that they'll beg to have an electric one, warts and all. And I'm not against electric vehicles, not by a long shot.
Isn't there a bill in your country that it's like the Strategic Patent Acquisition Act or something, and it's basically just an act that says the government can quash any and all patents, and there have been several that I've been reading. Sorry, I didn't bring up the article. I didn't think we were going to talk about this. In which several patents for super efficient fuel engines for cars have been quashed at the behest of lobbyists and people in government who are being paid by the oil companies, the oil lobby, to not allow these to go. So it boggles my mind that they would. I mean, this is why I agree that these types of people are evil, in that they try to introduce this type of stuff and will probably try to legislate it somehow.
I don't think that's true.
Telling people who make these innovations, no, that's property of the government and we'll never see.
No, I would love to see a reference for that, because I've heard people talk about this and it always had the whiff of BS to me. I don't believe that the government is quashing magic technology that makes cars super. I know a lot of people do. I haven't seen any proof of it. I think this is an urban myth.
Hold on. I will try to find it and I will bring it to your attention so that we can talk about it.
I could totally be wrong, but I would love to see a reference. I'm not trying to be a dick about it. So what are you going to say, Skep?
Oh, I was just going to say something the pharmaceutical companies do is they do strategic patenting.
Oh yeah,
because they, like, let's say you find that, hey, this hydroxyl radical in this particular location on this molecule has this great therapeutic effect. Suddenly everybody starts copying your thing, but they change some other irrelevant part of the molecule. So it's a different molecule. And of course they name it, you know, and register the name and all that stuff. And when that happens, then you know, that company has the ability to make money on your R&D, because all they did was copy your work. They copied your exam paper, and they changed they changed one little thing on it that doesn't have anything to do with anything, and that's that used to happen quite a lot. So what pharmaceutical companies do is they strategically patent. They not only patent the principle that the operating principle of that molecule, but they patent all the molecules that are easily synthesized. You know, all the obvious things, they patent those too, and that just increases the cost of development to the pharmaceutical company. I'm not usually I work for a pharmaceutical company. I'm not usually that sympathetic to them. I understand that they have to, you know, make their investment back and so forth. But there are none of them that have ever, none of the big ones have ever run close to the line.
Yeah, well, what you're talking about is well documented. The thing about like the secret engine design that's been squashed is, if there is an engine design and it's not being used commercially, there's probably another reason. Like, you can come up with engines that are very, very efficient in certain ways, but don't have other characteristics that you want. In terms of like
dangerous,
because they're hard to service, or because they don't have the right torque, you know, the wide enough bandwidth, you know, in the torque curve for maximum torque. They have something that makes them not work. What's cool about some of those old designs is those things can be adapted to be range extenders for hybrids. Sometimes those kinds of designs, like Stirling engines and other things that they do, work really well for range extenders, but even though they don't work well as like the primary engine.
Yeah. Right.
So hopefully a lot of those things that got kind of, you know, if there are things that got suppressed, they'll come out and be used in new ways to, you know, like for instance, like range extenders for these things. So speaking of Tesla, let me see if I can find this thing. So did you guys hear about the person who they had like their Tesla polished to their Cybertruck polished to a mirror finish?
Oh God.
That could be a problem.
Well, from what I've been able to determine, it's Functional coughed so hard that he knocked himself off the show. There he is. You coughed yourself clear out of this chat. Okay, so somebody polished their Cybertruck so it looks like this. I gotta say, that's pretty impressive. And I thought so. I thought it was pretty impressive. I mean, it's a stupid idea and it's a huge waste of time, but I'm never going to...
Tell me that doesn't look amazing.
That does look kind of cool. It definitely sends a message, which is mostly I'm kind of a douche nozzle and I have way too much time on my hands.
I don't drive this anywhere.
Okay, but then the news cycle moved forward, and something even more amazing.
Wait. I want to see the picture you scrolled past real quick.
The one with the guys?
Did this? Because, so they're like a small company, the polishing. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Bravo, gentlemen.
Yeah, so good work on that. And I thought, okay, it can't get any more amazing than this. And then the guy who takes apart all the cell phones, the Jerry Rig Everybody guy, said, "Hold my beer." They gold electroplated a Cybertruck. He actually put $60,000 worth of gold on this Cybertruck.
Does he live in California?
He does not live in California.
I was going to say that thing could be gone.
They did this as a promotion for Ridge Wallet.
Of course they did.
And it took several people several days to go through this. This is actually a pretty cool video. But they did this thing where they brush on this goo of gold suspended in like cobalt gel. And by applying the right
stuff.
Well, they have to first get the stainless steel primed to take the plating, which is not as easy as you would think, because stainless steel doesn't really want to have this happen to it. So you have to hit it with acid and then hit it with deionized water, and get everything to work. But they managed to put a thin layer of gold all over this truck.
Sorry, Sora just said some people should not be allowed to have money.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But look at this process, though.
This is excellent.
Look at that. I want to gold plate
man.
so many things now.
Yes.
The gold plate guy doesn't bother me. The polished ones bother me because, like, if that's a sunny day, you're blind.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too, Serenity. I've driven in Denver.
Yeah.
In the morning when the sun's coming up. Oh my
Snow
God.
blindness along with that chrome, like,
Absolutely. It is just
Jesus.
absolutely blinding.
And
It's absolutely blinding.
But they did actually put a protective film over it
Okay,
afterwards,
okay.
so that it's not as stupid as it seems.
Okay, good.
So this
Okay,
film
then I'm
is
fine with
this
that.
like nano film stuff will protect it for 10 years because you don't want to put $60,000 worth of gold on a truck
Just
and then
exposed to the
just have it be exposed.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
get
but
burnt
it makes
shit
it
on
look
it.
copperish, right?
Yeah,
Like
but,
it does in
but
the
you know,
picture.
gold is pretty inert. Gold practically doesn't combine with
Yeah, it's
anything.
more like
Very
rocks
old,
and things.
happy, very self-satisfied.
The
mouth.
physical damage of it is what you really wanted to avoid, and
Yeah,
scrapes.
yeah, it's so soft.
You know somebody's going to
That's
want to key a gold Cybertruck. Come on. That's
You can key it with your fingernail.
So Ridge
If
Wallet
it's
is giving
gold.
this away as a promo thing. So,
thank you.
But so we went in the same week. We went from mirror polish finished Cybertruck to 24 karat gold plated Cybertruck. I can't even keep up with the news cycle anymore.
Someone's going to cover it in Swarovski crystals next.
Oh,
I
Jesus.
guarantee you.
And vajazzle your
Bedazzle their
Yeah.
fucking
no
Cybertruck.
vajazzle.
What kind of crystals?
Swarovski.
What are Swarovski crystals?
It's a brand.
Yeah, it's a brand. It's the SWAR.
Is it kind of meth? Or
No.
No.
is it kind of meth that they use in the West?
Is it like the Herkimer diamonds that they put in Dan Aykroyd's weird gin or vodka or whatever it is?
I do have to say his vodka, the shape of the bottle is really cool though.
Yeah, it's a skull.
I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome.
He
I like
stuff
it.
with diamonds in his vodka, does he? I feel
No.
like I'm not keeping up.
It's in the filtration process of the vodka or something like that.
Yeah,
Something
okay.
weird.
So,
Sure.
Serenity, have you ever been to a Waffle House?
Motherfucker, where do I live?
I know. I figured you've been to one.
What kind of question is
unbelievable
that?
I guess so Waffle House has decided they're going to spend a bunch of money and actually try to pay their servers better, not just give them minimum wage plus tips. So they're going to invest a bunch of money trying to make things better for the Waffle House employees. I guess this is like hazard pay, right? Considering that the Octagon is the Waffle House at 3 a.m.
Well, the thing is, it depends. If you come from a good old boy part of the country like I do, for the most part, everybody's either too drunk or too high to really fucking do anything.
But it's peaceful.
Yeah, it's like
But
the amount of times I've gone in at 3 o'clock in the morning after a frat party, and it's just a bunch of frat guys going, and they're not even picking fights; they're doing nothing. And the nice, sweet cashier lady's like, well, "Honey, what can I get you?"
So
yeah, everybody has a good time then.
Yeah, well,
In
my
big
thought-
cities is where it is. Where's the problem?
Well, my thought was that this means that they're worried that somebody's going to try to unionize them all, and this is just something to sort of head that off.
I mean,
Or maybe they're having trouble retaining staff. There's a lot of reasons, but they're not doing
Yeah.
this just out of the goodness of their heart.
Oh, I know.
They're doing
Yeah.
it for some strategic reason. Because if they could
yeah.
get away with not doing it, they would just not do it.
oh yeah.
So
Well, I think it's also the fact that Waffle House, because of things in the last few years, has been getting more attention. So I think you're right. They're trying to head something off. Maybe not necessarily unionization, but it might be investigation stuff.
yeah, this looks a lot like people talking about wanting to join a union to me. That's where the thought came from.
The thing is, it's gotta be like the big city Waffle House people, because most small town Waffle House people do not want to be union, because we all know what it's like to deal with the union.
Well,
It's like, thanks again, big city people, big city Waffle House people for fucking everything with our stuff for.
yeah, humanity was a mistake. So I don't understand this. Maybe, excuse me, excuse me, I'm having a little trouble there. One of you can explain this to me. Beloved restaurant chain that shut down 4 years ago comes back. So it's Sweet Tomatoes. And so there's a Sweet Tomatoes opening up in, somewhere in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
People actually drove for hours and hours and hours to be there for the opening of this restaurant.
Sweet
Now-
tomatoes is good though.
No, but I remember people in Silicon Valley used to jokingly, they called sweet tomatoes stale choice because there was this other thing called fresh choice, which was a better
Yeah.
salad bar. So
Yeah.
they just called sweet tomatoes stale choice. I'm surprised that people are super excited about.
I think once again it depends on where you are. At least the sweet tomatoes I went to before. Basically, the ones I've been to were nice. Of course, I'm a salad bar person, but
You must be. Maybe I just don't have the right gene to appreciate a good salad bar
Okay.
because
to give a side story. So my high school that I went to is this ties to this. Just stay with me. But
Okay.
the high school I went to is like 3,000 kids because they combined like 8 different counties. And one of the things that made this high school really nice was the fact that we had 4 lunch lines. 2 of the lunch lines were a salad bar. And that was part of your normal, like, what you pay to have lunch. And it had all the fixins for regular salad. They sometimes have pasta salad. And they also had, like, I'm going to use the British term, jacketed potatoes, where it was the ones in the aluminum foil. For 3.5 years, I went purely salad bar. And I am not a vegan or a vegetarian. Just because it was fresh salad, fresh tomatoes, fresh green peppers, all that kind of stuff.
they had shitty
So I
pizza too, as I recall.
The pizza, at least where I went, was pretty good.
It was like
Once
that
again,
kind of sheet pan pizza, like a way better version of what you'd get on a school lunch.
Yeah, that's I remember from. Oh God, what was the pizza? Cece's Pizza. Cece's Pizza used to do that too, but those are gone now too.
As I look through the menu for the sweet tomatoes, it's got Caesar Asiago salad, wonton happiness, Jones broccoli madness with bacon and cashews, tuna tarragon, big chunk chicken noodle soup, deep kettle house chili, Yankee Clipper clam chowder with bacon, classic mac cheesy garlic focaccia, quattro formaggia focaccia,
Their mac and cheese was good.
wildly blue blueberry muffin, buttermilk cornbread, brownie bites, and chocolate lava cake. Not
Their
seeing a
chocolate lava
lot
cake.
to complain about there.
Well,
Is it just awful,
Well, I think once again,
or is
it's
it
like,
just institutional?
I think it might be institutional. I'm not sure. Like I said, the ones I've been to, I liked, but I can understand, especially like in Silicon Valley, with just the plethora of choice that would have been there at the time that Sweet Tomatoes was opened up there. I can understand why it would be seen as a lesser par. But once again, I have a Waffle House near me, so you could take that with however you want to judge it.
You know,
I like waffles.
You were talking about Waffle House. Let me tell you another use of Waffle House, and that is AA groups go there after the 11 p.m. meeting.
They do.
Just to send on Waffle House. We just took the place over.
I've walked in the middle of one of those before and gone, just here to get waffles, bye. Whee! Of course, there's also the Waffle House meter, where it's like, did the Waffle House open?
You know, we're normal people. We're just not drunk.
Oh, no, it was just, I felt like I was intruding because they were still talking about stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't want to make it seem like... 'cause
Inevitably.
It's one of those things where it's kind of like you also don't want to make them think you're judging them, because it's like, I'm not judging you, it's just I'm here to get food and I'm out.
Yeah.
You're just treading lightly in a room full of vulnerable people.
Yeah.
Well, functional. You and I both know how the sausage is made on a place like this, right?
Oh boy, howdy.
Okay, so it's like people go in there and they think to themselves, oh, this is like really good value, but they don't realize just how cheap food is when you buy it in bulk. And when you're making a lot of something, like at an institutional scale, like I'm going to make like a whole shit ton of that chicken noodle soup or put out a bunch of these salads. Once you kind of get the process down, because it's like a commercial process, right? Once you get the process down, you can churn this sort of stuff out. And it's not what I call bad, but I can't see this being anybody's favorite restaurant that they would drive like 7 hours to get to.
No, but it's nice if you have like a big family and you want to just get together or and you don't want to pay a lot of money. Because it's almost like Chinese a Chinese food buffet. You pay one price, you all can get however much you want. You can sit there and talk for however, because as long as you're going up and getting a plate, no one talks to you, and you can just chill. That's kind of part of the wonder of it all, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
That it's just it gives you a place to just chill, which is
And
what Waffle House is like too.
And it kind of warms the cockles of my heart to know that this company was directly hit really hard by the pandemic and the closures, and is now bouncing back.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're
That
not
part's
they're
good.
not a small company. They're smaller than a lot of chains, but they're
Yeah.
not a small company. But that they're bouncing back is a good sign, especially in the face of, you know, Waffle House and Red Lobster and a whole bunch of other larger chains that are closing locations due to fallout from the pandemic and other factors. There are plenty of factors that are going on here, but
It's like also it's I think Sweet Tomatoes is owned by the same company as Soup Plantation. I think.
Soup
It is. No, it's
Plantation.
DBA. It does business as Soup Plantation. in
That's a hell of a
California.
name. You
What
don't
is
have
Soup
you don't have
Plantation?
restaurants called Plantation in California.
Yeah, you do. Soup Plantation was in California.
It
Yeah,
was
that is the California
Yeah.
DBA. That's the
Soup
California
Plantation?
DBA.
Yeah.
Soup Plantation. I just looked it up in the
Huh.
in the corporate register. Soup Plantation is the DBA for these guys.
I've
in
never seen a
California.
restaurant called Soup
It's
Plantation.
only
Because
in
it's
Southern
Southern
California. It's
California.
only in Southern California.
That's a different state.
Harry doesn't
Yeah.
visit SoCal.
Not when I can
Um,
help. Not if I can
But
help it.
I've actually been to a Sweet Tomato back in
Yeah, it would have been a while ago.
2001.
Still gonna
'Cause
call it Steel
I
Choice.
think Sweet Tomatoes closed before the pandemic even hit. Really, I think.
No, it was like
I
right,
didn't-
right at the beginning. The
right at the
pandemic
beginning,
did them
that's
in.
what it was. Yeah.
You know,
But even until now, until seeing this article, I didn't know that it was a beloved chain by a bunch of people.
I didn't either. I was
I
just trying to wrap
was
my head
in,
around that.
There was food. It was cheap. It was decent enough.
I'm not going
So-
to call them stale choice, but I'm going to call them disappointing tomatoes because I know what my reaction to their tomatoes would be.
Yeah, not as good
We
as the
grow
homegrown
some of
ones.
the most delicious cherry tomatoes. That's the one thing Brendan's really good at is growing cherry tomatoes. And this year's crop is. I'm just excited. They're already starting to come in.
Okay, well, we do have to move forward. I mean, because there are so many cool things that have happened. So, you know, I told you the news cycle was really short. So let's just hang on to these two stories. Both came to me in the same week. It's great that things that I bookmarked at the beginning of the week actually reach some kind of resolution at the end of the week.
There you go.
I feel like it's a glitch in the matrix, but
Don't say that.
Tonight, who was the victim of a string of burglaries targeting various bricks and minifigs locations. Eyewitness News has obtained surveillance video of several of those
Yep.
incidents involving a chain that sells Legos.
their security should just be like a sign that says no shoes and Legos on the ground.
With him
Yeah.
breaking in and causing damage. A store in Riverside was the next to get hit. Then this one in Whittier, which lost
Well,
about
I mean, from
$10,000
the
in
burglar
damages.
stance, it makes sense
Yeah.
because these kits are fucking ridiculously
$10,000 worth of kits just from one store.
Wow.
Yep.
And
Okay.
that's probably just a bag or two full of
Yeah.
kits.
And they've hit a bunch of these different stores. Okay,
Quippers.
all in the Southern California area where I don't go, which we have already established. But this happened just a few days later after that. This blows my mind. California police find 2,800 stolen Lego sets in one person's house, basically.
That's right.
So ranging from $20 to $1,000 per set, 2,800 boxes of Legos. Look at all the damn Legos that they found in this one house. So it turned out this 70-something-year-old guy had these and he was going to resell them, make a bunch of money. And he had somebody younger doing the actual theft part of it.
Of course he did.
And they caught these guys. It's like, man, the police won't go after shoplifters and stuff, but you start stealing all the Lego sets in Southern California and they track you down within the week. This is
Well,
awesome.
It's probably because all the Lego nerds are like, God damn it, those are mine.
Yeah.
I don't ever like or advocate for committing such heinous acts like crime and theft and stuff, but you know, there's a part of me that just says, you know, it couldn't happen to a nicer corporation.
So we don't like the Lego Corporation? You have you have a problem with Belgium?
Okay, it's complicated. It's complicated, first of all. But you know, for a company who made their own by making basically children's toys to then turn their entire line into this elite, super expensive premium item, while throwing away the fact that they're just colored building blocks, is kind of rubs me the wrong way, because I remember, like, I love Lego. I still love Lego. I can't afford Lego because if I wanted one of these kits, like, pick any of those kits, that Millennium Falcon right there, that's like $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of ridiculous.
I mean, there's a lot of pieces in there, though. Like, are they just supposed to just be like, oh, all the stuff we've done to... It's 800. Yeah, well, no, for Canada it would be $1,000. Never mind.
Yeah.
I mean, for down here, it's like 849. But it's like, that's a lot of fucking pieces, though.
Serenity, it just kind of rubs me the wrong way when a company makes the success doing one thing and then basically pisses on the customers and the people who got them that level of success to say, oh, well, we don't want the poor's money anymore. We want, real money. And it kind of like it's the cost of doing business in a lot of senses. And I'm very much a free market capitalist. So if they're making money using this new strategy,
it's about 11 cents.
But I am not a consumer of theirs anymore. They've lost.
It's functional. It's about 11 cents a piece. There's 7,541 pieces, and it costs about $1,000. That's about how that plays out.
And as someone whose younger cousin who's 12 is into it, there's a lot of kits that are under $25. Like, a lot of them are $10. I get him a bunch of them every year.
Oh, maybe we just don't see them up here because
that's the only thing I can figure.
Because
I've gotten him Iron Man. He likes the Iron Man. I've gotten him the Clone Commander. I got him. He just saw Up not too long ago, and he tried to act like he didn't cry, and it was adorable.
Right.
But they also
Serenity. I mean, like,
Kevin.
I'm kind of a little bit of a hypocrite here because who am I to talk? Because I fucking play Warhammer.
I was about to say Warhammer
even
boy.
more, like per ounce of plastic, I'm probably paying 3 or 4 times more. But admittedly, I don't pay them the company directly. I buy second, third hand.
Yeah.
So there's that. But I mean, but that's just my personal decision. When I don't agree with how a company is doing business, I don't whinge, I don't complain, I don't piss and moan on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
I just simply say, this is my wallet. You are not getting anything from it anymore. And, that's how I, silently protest. I will not patron your company. Now, I don't remember if it was Mega Bloks or Duplo or one of those companies. I was always an erector set and construct kid when I was little.
Like Lincoln
me
Logs.
too.
I was Lincoln Logs.
Lincoln Logs was great.
I was
but
erector
Skep,
set.
it was so much more like
those
fed
little
into that
screws.
need
Remember
of building and like learning about the principles of engineering.
Yeah.
Basic principles of like cantilevers and gravity, and it was great. I totally brain farting, but
or just learning to put a nut into a screw.
Speaking
into a nut, rather.
And it really at an early age, real quick, Harry.
Okay.
It instilled into me, Skep, the righty tighty lefty loosey mantra, which has lasted me to this day. And when you find those taps or whatever plumbing pipes or whatever that are reversed, pisses me right off.
Well, I just want to show you something.
Looking at you, propane industry.
So, did you guys ever see James May's Man Lab?
Yeah.
Okay, remember this? Okay, let's see if I can get this to work.
You gotta get to it again, Harry, because you're on the Lego.
Did you say
share?
Man
Lab.
Man Lab.
Yeah.
No.
It could be the biggest bargain on the property.
He built a house out of Lego.
House that's being
he
given
did
for
an
nothing.
evil thing too
The
when
only
they had it
drawback
built.
is that this
They glued
series
it.
is made entirely
Well,
out
no,
of
they
Lego, and you'll
intentionally
have to find
OCD
somewhere
like
to
one of
put
the
it.
blocks where they made one of the
Top
blocks
Gear
not be the
Present
right
that's
color
right.
line.
has just built the world's first full-size.
But this
Lego
is pretty
house.
cool. Let me kill that sound. But yeah, he built like an entire 2-story house out of Lego as part of the show. Now they call it Meccano, not erector set over there. They also built a bridge over a canal using like erector set.
Yep.
That was pretty cool. They did a bunch of great stuff on that show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wait, no, this wasn't Man Lab. This is the one where he looks at his sister's favorite toys.
Yeah.
This is a different one, and I'm sorry I forgot. The Man Lab is a totally different thing. Also a kind of a cool series. That's the one where he brought in the guy who was like the special forces guy who taught him how to polish his boots correctly.
Yeah.
And then he complained about, like, isn't that hard and stuff? And he said, do you have any advice? He said, yeah, don't be weak. which I thought was just like the best.
That is James May, Quippers.
Yeah.
That is not Alan Davies.
No. Alan Davies. God, Alan Davies. What can I say about Alan Davies that is nice?
That has already been said.
He's like the perennial second banana. I mean, he really, he's like, yeah. He was pretty funny on QI.
James May going through Japan, because his specials on Amazon, where he travels like Japan and stuff like that, is hilarious. Because it's very James.
Yeah.
Put it that way. I love that.
All right. So that's Lego news. God, we have tons and tons of stuff we can talk about. Let's just get this one out of the way really quickly. Finland makes world's most sustainable protein from air and electricity. So they've come up with a way to sort of manufacture protein in a factory by just putting air and electricity as the input.
Nope.
That looks freaking terrible.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
If bugs are too much of an ask, you can just do that, right?
What's one of those things that's like, we already have things that take air and water and grass and do that.
They're called tomatoes.
They're called cows.
Exactly.
Did you come to say hello?
Let's see.
God dang it.
I don't know if you
Finland, stop it.
Okay, so
air and electricity.
Air and electricity. So
not seeing how the protein gets made.
Don't worry about it.
Good people?
No. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Don't sweat
Don't question it.
Don't
Scott.
sweat the details.
Don't sweat finished stuff.
So another weird story from Central California, which completely shocked me. So somehow a woman who was a librarian at a library in Hollister managed to embezzle as much as $500,000 in less than a year. How on earth do you not, on the second month of using your account as a librarian, buying sporting goods and vacation stuff and other things instead of books, that they didn't catch
to
it?
a discretionary fund.
Because it's
A
California.
fund over which she had some discretion, and she just immediately.
Shouldn't an auditor have just said, hey, wait a second, there's a few things here we were trying to sort of reconcile this account. It should have taken at most a month and a half for somebody to walk up to her and go, what the hell are you doing?
Harry.
Yeah.
California.
Well, typically with audit cycles and stuff like that, there's usually a 90-day rule. You catch most embezzlers in 90 days. That really is a rule of thumb. And the reason is that most embezzlers get too impressed with their haul, and they become uncareful, and become so uncareful that people can't ignore it anymore.
I have a theory about this. Well, let me give you my theory really quickly, and then Serenity. My theory is that this happened during COVID, and it was only because people weren't actually coming into the office and working remotely that they didn't see what was going on.
Well, I think that was how a lot of the embezzlement cases have happened. Is like they it was because they were working from home and they could hide it easier that way.
Yeah.
I want to know how old this lady is.
I can't find a whole lot of information about her. Okay, I do hear typing. Who's typing?
That's me. I'm going to find out about this thing.
Okay, well, I have
any
actually
rubbing of microphones.
I have definitely tried to look into this, and I have found almost no additional information. But if you can find something, man, more power to you.
Look, Nixie, if you want to be part of the show, just ask Harry.
So we make fun of young people a lot, right? I've said some unkind things about Gen Z, but I think Gen A might be okay. I actually want this guy. I don't want to call him a kid. I want to call him a young man, because he is wise beyond his years. Just watch this clip. Oh wait, let me make it so you can actually hear it.
I'm doing the headlights on the minivan. I'm getting those ready. I did one side already.
Oh yeah? How much more you got to do with this?
Well, after I do the headlights, I'm gonna put the splash shield in, and then the truck's still in the booth because I still got to do some burgundy of the lines. After that's out of the booth, I'm gonna paint the bumper and put it together.
How old is this kid?
I mean, it sounds like a typical New Jersey kid.
He sounds like a typical New Jersey kid, but this kid is young. Okay, I mean, this kid is young, and he's doing the job of a full grown-ass adult male in this shop.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see like a kid like that working hard, learning stuff. Like There's like a humility to it. I like every single thing about this kid in this garage somewhere, obviously in like New Jersey, right?
I love it because it shows that he's probably learned this stuff from his father, and it's something that in the modern era we haven't been doing as much in direct teaching of children. A lot of parents, with I'm not going to fault them for it because there's a good reason that people just have to work so much that it's sometimes gets
That's why you have grandparents functional.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
That's what
Skep,
we
is
do.
that dynamic is kind of
just another day in the garage.
Just in a lot of cases that people just aren't learning lessons, not just valuable skills like this, but life skills a lot from parents, grandparents, other family members. And this makes me hopeful for the future of the young people because there are still kids out there who are learning this type of stuff, and it's so refreshing.
Learning and hard work is
garage.
No, learning and hard work is definitely the thing. Now, it doesn't have to be working in a garage. I mean, him learning a trade, fantastic. He's probably going to get a job more than this other guy. But Skep, here is a very young man playing Bach's Invention in D minor on a harpsichord. Look at how young this guy is. Look at that kid. That kid
He's
is
not playing that.
He's absolutely playing it.
No, you can't see his fingers.
No, you can see his fingers. That little bastard is playing that piece of music on a harpsichord.
The right hand's all wrong.
Yeah, you tell him, Skep. The fact that he can play that piece of music on an instrument that hard at that age, this whole thing about like
something about that.
That's homework. That's what homework does for you, folks.
Something,
Tiger Mom. Hang on a second. Okay. Back in the day, my mother used to have recitals at her house, and she had some distinguished people. Van Cliburn performed at the house, and Johnny Woods, the #1 harpsichordist in the world at the time, performed there. And he and I hauled his harpsichord into my parents' gigantic living room, and installed it one afternoon so he could play a recital for a bunch of Naval Academy guys, a big Naval Academy party that my mom and dad were having that night, and it was a nightmare to put it together. That was one of the hardest afternoons I ever worked, and so did Johnny. It's weird to be assembling a harpsichord with a guy who is considered to be one of the greatest harpsichord players in the world.
That would feel really weird. I would be very self-conscious doing that.
Well, it was also Johnny's dead now. He died of AIDS, of course. But John, he was so gentle, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I was so apologetic. I'm sorry. I don't want to scratch this. I don't want to mess this up. And he was so kind to me. When we were doing it, it was almost reminiscent. Do you remember the two chipmunks who were overly polite to one another?
Chip and Dale?
Chip and Dale, exactly. Oh, yes. No,
was it the original Chip and Dale?
Yeah. I don't know if it was Chip and Dale, but it's the two chipmunks, two cute chipmunks who,
Yeah. Not Alvin and the Chipmunks, but Chip and Dale they're very polite to a fault.
Yes, exactly. And I made the comment that we sounded like Chip and Dale, and he thought that was the funniest thing. He was about 10 years older than I was.
Yeah. Anyway, harpsichord's a hell of an instrument, and I know
that. I'm sorry. So that was all preamble.
Oh, okay.
So here's what I wanted to say. That instrument that he's playing, that is an antique. And when I say antique, that looks like something that was produced in the 16 or 1700s at the latest. Yeah. At the latest.
It is vintage, not retro.
It's harder than hell to play that thing.
Yeah.
And to hear him play, well, of course, play Bach on a harpsichord. Bach is made for the harpsichord.
As one does. I mean, the piano, well, we're not going to get into the whole piano versus harpsichord thing because we'll never get done.
Yeah.
I was just kind of really taken aback. And there's a 7-year-old girl who was actually playing another piece, I think also on the harpsichord, but I lost that link. So, no, man, some of the kids are all right. And if it takes a Tiger Mom to do this, it's like I think kids need need to
Tiger moms.
They need to work hard at stuff. Obviously, they still need to play, but I'm still pissed off that California is putting together a bill that's going to limit the amount of homework that you're able to give these kids. If the homework's too much, the parents can go to the school and they can make their voice heard. I just don't want the government doing it.
Do the homework for the children, like I did for my kids.
Yeah,
Skep, they always got great grades on homework because I'm good at that stuff.
Skep, fact check. It was the Goofy Gophers, Mac and Tosh.
Really?
Yeah. Otto Scratch and Sniff voiced Mac, and Jess Harthill voiced Tosh.
Nice.
I remember those because that was one of the Looney Tunes bits that
was Looney Tunes. It was Looney Tunes.
Always got me. Is they're so overly polite, but so mischievous at the same time. It was.
I don't know these particular chipmunks.
I was thinking Chip and Dale did not sound right because I thought it was something more elaborate, and I think Functional's got it.
Okay. All right. Well, there's no clean segue for this, but I've got this under license agreements from hell. So 2 terrible license agreements basically started getting heat this week. One of them was from Adobe, which has decided to come out with their new updated terms of service. Gosh, let me make that bigger. I can't even read it. Okay. Clarified that we may access your content through both automated and manual methods, such as for content review. So they're going to look at all your stuff that you create, but they also were saying that they had the right to use your material like for promotions and other things. And they totes weren't going to be using it to train their AI models. Now, the language in the agreement makes it seem like that could be the case. Now, they have since come out and said, oh, no, we definitely are not going to do that. I'm sorry. I don't really care what your good intentions are. If your agreement makes it possible for you to do something, I'm going to assume that you worded it that way on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's,
I will too.
I'm not a lawyer, but then the people at Instacart said, hold my beer. Privacy policies have gone insane. Consider Instacart. Instacart wants to do things like be able to sell information about psychiatric diagnoses that you've had. I kid you not. There is stuff in this Instacart thing that absolutely boggles the freaking mind. So the privacy policy lists all of the information Instacart collects and reserves the right to use or share the information when it wants to. Yeah, it's when it wants to. What it collects depends on the services a customer uses. A license plate number, for example, becomes an issue when a customer does curbside pickup. Health information has potential uses if medical prescriptions are delivered and if pharmacy deliveries are used. Instacart says it will retain, use, and potentially share your past, present, or future physical or mental health or condition, the provision of health care to you or your past, present, or future.
How can I avoid using
Instacart? Well, you can just never use Instacart. It's used.
Fuck Instacart.
Yeah. This is absolutely terrible that they're talking about not just collecting this information, but making it available to others when they feel like it.
But the biggest problem I have with that, Skep, is, you know, it's all fine and good for a young, healthy man such as yourself who stays active and who's capable. But when it comes to vulnerable persons like myself who rely on these services sometimes because they can't physically get to the locations, because trust me, I'd rather be able to just go and pick up my own scripts and whatnot myself, but sometimes I just can't. And so, but this now makes me rethink using a company like Instacart, because I didn't hear about this, and I did hear about the Adobe thing. There's a huge pushback online from a lot of fellow creators and designers who use this stuff. And so what we decided was we were just going to start sharing with the world, hey, here are some really good alternatives to Adobe, and all of the, sizable chunk of that list of providers of those programs have seen a 250% spike in users. So, I mean, there might be a little bit of a pushback because Adobe for a while now has been pushing that limit, and this was the straw that broke that camel's back.
I'm sorry, but if the straw, them turning into a subscription service didn't make you stop using them.
It did for a lot of people, but
I was going to say, because I use Procreate or I use what Harry recommended, which is the
Affinity.
Affinity system,
Yeah.
which is a one-time payly dealy. And if you catch them on sale, you get a better deal.
But the thing was with smaller companies that rely on their Adobe subscription or whatever, who now are going to be like these are the seemingly the biggest people who've walked away from it now, because it's nothing short of like you're saying, oh well, they can just steal your business. They can steal your life's blood, your work, for whatever reason they want. They don't even need to give you a reason. They can just steal it. They can turn around and lock your projects that you made because they don't agree that it's being used for you have a contract with a conservative PAC or something to create flyers or whatever. They can then lock your files and say, we don't think that you should be able to use these files.
Yeah, I agree.
It is a substantial step above and beyond the subscription. Although I agree with you, if you weren't already, alarm bells weren't going off when they introduced that.
But it's one of those things where it's kind of like if your business manager went, yeah, let's just do a subscription instead of a one-time fee, which is what a lot of these other ones do. Your business manager sucks.
Yeah.
And also Continuum. Sorry, I had to say your name correctly. It is not a HIPAA violation because they do not technically give your name. If they give your name, then it is technically a HIPAA violation. But if they give vague of 25 to 55-year-old men in Northern California buy this amount in this time period at this time of year from this store, that's not a HIPAA violation. It is when they get into specifics that it is a HIPAA violation. So they technically can still sell your info, but it's one of those things where it's like, if they do the vagaries enough, they can get around HIPAA.
Yeah, but the license plate can be used to go back to you through a different database. That's the problem.
Exactly. That's the issue, and that's the reason why, like, if stuff gets hacked, it gets very dangerous because all they have to do is find your name in 4 or 5 different companies. Every company may not have all the info, but if they can piece enough of it together, they can open everything in your life.
Did you use Affinity now? Don't you, Serenity?
I use Affinity and Procreate.
Right. Procreate just sounds like an odd sort of name.
It is, but it's a you pay once for it.
So I found an animation which I'm probably the only one that's really going to like this, but I kind of want to show it to you because it makes the evil side of me laugh. And unfortunately, Sora's not here, but I feel like I have to share this with you. You need to experience my pain. Oh gosh, that's terrible. Hold on. It's tiny. How do I make it bigger? I suck.
That's what every man says.
I know. I'm gonna have to figure out how to embiggen that. Let's come back to that later. Yeah, sorry about that. Bad planning on my part.
Affinity, West Virginia. Who knew that?
All right, so let's make Skep angry. This article, should your 401k be eliminated to save Social Security benefits?
Fuck you.
What do you think, Skep? Aren't you willing to do your part?
At the same time, I've been told Social Security would be going
Here's the author, Kelly Taylor. There she is. She's senior tax editor for Kipling.
I've paid $1 or $2 into Social Security.
Yeah.
If you gave me the money that I paid in, I would be very wealthy. Just the principal.
Yeah.
Nothing. Give me none of the interest that I've earned, some of that money, for over 60 or 50 years. Half of it. Just give me the principal and I would be wealthy.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to get that, and they're going to take your 401k. But no, hopefully, I don't think this is going to happen. But it's pretty terrible. But they're just blaming boomers for everything, right? Your 401ks, and then there's this one. Boomers are setting up a showdown with millennials, aging in place and plunking down hundreds of thousands on renovating their homes. Those damn boomers! Don't they know that they need to just get out of the way, move into like a assisted living, and free up these houses? But instead, they're taking their money, not moving, not losing like 9% for selling their house, and then another 9% to buy the new one. And then they're staying where they are and just fixing up their houses and living in them until they die.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
How selfish
Exactly
of them.
what I'm doing.
How selfish of them.
I'm a bastard.
Don't you realize that millennials will never have a good house if you don't get out of the way?
I don't get out of the way and property values go down.
Yeah, it's pretty
You
terrible.
know, if this is what they're complaining about, they need to pick up say the Gaza Daily and just read what's going on there, because they don't have problems. They don't know what problems are.
Yeah. Let's see. Do we have enough geeks in the audience? So do you guys, you heard me complain about agile methods before, right?
Yeah,
a little bit.
You've heard me complain about agile methods too.
Okay, how about this article? Study finds 268% higher failure rates for agile software
Imagine
projects.
my shock.
It's as if knowing what you're going to do before you start the work is
Yes.
beneficial,
Yes.
as opposed to just a vague idea and then making it up as you go along on a day-by-day, week-by-week
That's
basis.
more organic if you do it that way.
Yeah, that's what leading companies are doing. Yeah.
Leading.
268% higher failure rate for those projects.
I'm not surprised at all. I've never been impressed with Agile. I've always thought that it was really a bunch of hype and dressing up of common sense procedures that ought to be in place anyway.
I think that some of the stuff that Toyota came up with to modernize the way they build cars has objectively worked out very well. Okay, so like stuff like Kanban and some of the other stuff that they do to build better cars and manage their inventories better, I have no objection to. But a lot of the way it's been adapted to Western people making software, not that great.
That doesn't work. Manufacturing and just-in-time inventory control, that kind of stuff, is a completely different problem than manufacturing software.
Yeah, if you have an assembly line and you've got a bunch of people working there and they're all smart, capable people working, you absolutely want to have a stand-up meeting where people can point out, like, oh, here's a thing we can do that's better.
Of course, take advantage of the resources.
But as a thing to do for software design, no.
That's it. All right, all you cats, give me your opinion.
But a lot of times, if you're a professional, you're just going to be told this is what we're going to use, and you just have to work within the system as best you can. There's ways you can make it better or worse, but overall, I've never been impressed by it. And this article finding that it has these high failure rates makes complete and total sense to me.
Listen, I know what it takes to succeed on a software project. I was technical lead on a project that I had to take over the job of project manager. And here was the deal. They said, yeah, you can fire the project manager, but you have to take over as project manager. And I still did that. So I fired the project manager, took that over, and just began. I could see exactly what needed to be done to implement this custom piece of software that we created for these people. And I just started issuing autocratic commands. And it's amazing when you give people guidance like that, firm, good guidance that works. Oh my God, you can build a team.
Yeah.
They'll do anything you want. Just show them stuff that works. Software development, I could talk about it for hours. Anyway.
Well, let me show you just one thing from Oakland, because I think I've found like the quintessential Oakland, why Oakland is broken story. And we've talked about it before, but I think this is just an absolutely perfect thing. Hold on, let's get some actual volume going.
Gravel. Tonight, East Oakland streets ripped up and abandoned after a construction crew walks right off the job, citing concerns for their own safety.
So the construction crews were supposed to repave the street. They tore out the old asphalt and then felt so like they were in so much danger, they said, hell no. And they just picked up and left. And now weeks have gone by with there being no pavement on the streets in this East Oakland neighborhood. That's basically the state of Oakland. Yeah, we've got no street. You can't have a street because you live in Oakland.
That just hurts my heart.
How terrible is this? This is just the worst.
And this is why the libertarians have me kind of already, on board when they say taxation is theft. Well, no, but I mean the way that it's been misused and yeah, okay, taxation.
It's a little bit larcenous.
Yeah. So you were going to get a new graphics card, weren't you? Functional.
Yeah.
So
I
you
haven't pulled the trigger, but I'm just I'm gonna get one real soon.
At the incredible high end. Okay, I'm sure you're a big fan of NVIDIA.
Yeah, I am.
So at NVIDIA's Computex 2024 keynote, my blood ran cold. So Jensen Huang is the guy in charge of NVIDIA, right? And so they've come up with these new cards that for our AI overlords to help them achieve their goal of subjugating us. So this guy says, there was something that Huang said during the keynote that shocked me into a mild panic. NVIDIA's Blackwell cluster, which will come with 8 GPUs, pulls 15 kilowatts of power. That's 15,000 watts of power divided by 8. That's 1,875 watts per GPU. Now, this is for like the H100 grade data center type things.
Wait, how many watts per GPU? Say
1,875, 1.9 kilowatts
Do you know how much
per
power
GPU.
Well,
I do. So it says the current gen Hopper data center chips are a drop to 1,000 each. I can verify. The A100s that I set up in a system one time used about 800. So the amount of power that they're using each generation is just going up and up. So
heat.
So NVIDIA Blackwell nearly doubled the power consumption of those chips. Data center energy usage is already out of control, but Blackwell is going to pour jet fuel on that with, so they talk about this. 1 million Blackwell GPUs would suck down an astonishing 1.875 gigawatts of power. For context, a typical nuclear plant only produces 1 gigawatt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the amount of power that data centers are going to need going forward is insane. And at the same time as we're trying to sort of greenify things and decarbonize, this AI stuff is causing a huge spike in the demand for power. Something's got to give somewhere. We have to either compromise our the principles that they're coming up with, or we need to come up with a lot more power real soon now. Because, maybe to power Skynet, we're just going to have to fire up a bunch of coal plants. I don't know. But yeah, these new GPUs just use an insane amount of power. Think about how warm your place would be functional. A nice 90-degree day outside and your GPU's using 1.8 kilowatts.
Yeah, no thanks. I mean, that's more than twice than my, I only run an 850 piece up now. So, and that's for my entire system.
Yeah, when you plug a 100, okay, for comparison, if you plug an electric heater, like a space heater, into your wall, it's using 1.5 kilowatts. Okay, that's per GPU more power than a portable space heater would use in your house per GPU. Yeah. And this node thing that they put together comes with 8 of them. And to do any kind of real work, you need a whole bunch of these things. Yep. The amount of energy they're going to use for our AI overlords is insane. Anyway, on that little dystopian
AI,
note,
when it becomes AI, is going to turn around and say, "No, this is now all my electricity," and cause.
You know what we need? More power. So the whole homeless thing, right? We talk about that from time to time.
Oh, yeah,
so they're trying to build some low-income housing in South Portland, but the problem is a homeless encampment is across the street from the job site. And it's making the people trying to build the houses feel unsafe. So now they're saying, we won't build these houses. So the city of Portland comes in and clears it out a couple times a week, but they just keep coming back.
Of course.
So they can't build low-income housing because the homeless people are preventing them from building the low-income housing because Portland. So it's not all just California being stupid. Sometimes it's also Portland. It seems like if you really want to build that housing, you kind of got to come to terms and just start really cracking down and making these people stay away from there. But that's too much to ask for the city of Portland, I guess.
It's very sensitive there.
Yeah. Well, speaking of sensitive things,
yes.
Term gynecologist offensive according to scholars.
Wait, what?
Scholars.
Yeah. Don't say breastfeeding, but human milk feeding. Midwives should avoid saying gynecologist in order to be more inclusive, according to recent academic paper. Not because it sounds like guy, but because the word comes from the Greek for woman. Instead, say reproductive health specialist. Really? We're going to be offended by the word gynecologist?
And the Canadian Cancer Society said, hold my beer when they read this, and apologized for using the term cervix when they were talking about cervical cancer, and said, in future, we will start using the term front hole.
Oh yeah, the front hole. Forgot about that.
They're breathing life into memes and making them actual factual truths. This is so incredibly stupid and so anti-logic and anti-scientific. It actually boils my blood.
Yeah.
These people need to be ostracized politically, legally, and humanely from all aspects of society. Someone says chest feeding or front hole, immediately turn the other way. Never talk to that person again.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is going to get people killed. It is going to get people killed because some brainwashed little git is going to walk into, get a cancer screening, and when this person who identifies as a man but actually has ovaries and a cervix inside their body is going to, pretend like they don't have these organs, not going to get them screened, and throw a hissy fit when the gynecologist, who will then be called a front hole specialist or something, will then be told, well, no, I don't want that screening, and we'll get cancer and die because,
but you'll be sure and call it front hole cancer, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's
so
nomenclature.
You and me both, Mike R. I am
Yeah.
so done with this shit. It is and this is why I call it troons, because it's complete insanity.
Well, I mean, more insanity since you're already upset. Transgender athlete complains about lack of sportsmanship from fellow runners after winning girls' state title. It's like, is it enough that you get to run and you get to compete and then win against a bunch of girls, but now you want them to pretend to be happy about it? That seems like a bit much.
And again, in a related news article I read earlier today, I'm trying to remember the acronym for the IAOC, the International Olympic Committee or whatever, is now putting the kibosh on revealing or even mentioning the words transgender, biologically male, etc., whatever, when it comes to the female sports, because they're paving the way for F-tier level athletes to come in and dominate women. This is nothing more than an attack on women by pathetic, failed men.
Well, maybe you can help me figure out what's going on here. Now, I don't normally make comments about the way people look. Okay, not women at least. I don't usually do that unless they go so far beyond the pale that I feel like, okay, I got to say something because it's obvious. So there's this news article: Pennsylvania crossing guard arrested, charged with supplying middle school students with narcotics. Okay, so I do not know anything about what's going on here, but I was looking for things for the show, and I scrolled down, and they show a picture of the person who's... I do not know what I'm looking at, but she does not... I don't know. What on earth is going on with this woman or person?
This is what the French call le hood rat.
Yeah, I mean, she's not even good enough for mugshotties.
No. Well, see, the thing is about, I don't know how it is down there.
Yeah.
But up here, we tend to give or hire people because it's not a very demanding. It's a low-skilled kind of position, right? You don't need a lot of specialty to, become a crossing guard. So we tend to give these types of positions to people with certain types of differences, let's say, So from people who might be a little simple to actually having Down syndrome or whatever, but are functional enough that they can do what is needed for these low skilled types of positions. So and I've seen her. She's very, very tiny. So she's probably got some sort of dwarfism.
Does she look like your first choice would be, hey, let's have her work with the kids?
Yes, it's just what I was thinking. I was thinking to myself, would you let that person within 100 feet of your child? No.
Because it looks like something's going on there, and I'm not sure what it is, but if there's kids involved, I kind of don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something going on
And
here,
I know I'm being
don't know
terrible.
What it is, do you, Mr.
I know I'm being terrible and judgmental. I know.
No, because
hold on,
you're
Serenity's here. She's trying to break in. I want to hear the woman's perspective.
Like, it's a mugshot, right? That's not like her at her best.
Oh, it's definitely not her at her best. That's why I said she wouldn't make it onto mugshotties.
That might be as good as she gets.
Well, the thing is like, mugshots, especially if it's like something real, like, what was it, drugs or something like that?
Yeah, she was selling drugs to school kids.
Vapes and edibles.
Pennsylvania
Yeah, no.
is charged with supplying middle school students with narcotics. So it's basically marijuana and vapes.
Yeah, so they probably jumped her, and rightfully so, with the edibles are dangerous for for middle schoolers, and so are vapes. But they probably jumped her in the middle of it. She's probably tired, probably jacked as hell, probably drunk or high off her ass. To be completely honest, considering some of the former meth heads I've dealt with in the schooling system, she's not the worst I've ever seen.
We haven't seen her teeth. Just point that out here.
I know, but I'm just saying I've dealt with meth heads. So.
Yeah.
All right. And I know I'm being unkind.
By the way, you know that meth does not contribute to bad dental health. What contributes to the bad dental health of addicts, and it's not just meth heads, opiate addicts, heroin addicts have the same thing. It's just usually heroin kills them a little faster, so you don't notice. But with meth, it's just the inattention to personal care.
Oh yeah,
that's what gets you. It's people. I've had people come up to me. Well, you know that meth rots your teeth out. No, it doesn't. It has no effect on your teeth. Zero, none.
Yeah.
Okay, to be completely
no
honest,
set void.
Look at the drug breakdown of my state. There's oxy addicts who are the same way. I understand. I just say meth because meth.
Oh no! I wasn't being critical of you. Not at all. It's just a common stereotype. I just wanted to get that out there.
No, trust me.
All addiction.
When you grow up in West Virginia, where the stereotype is we have worse teeth than British people, trust me, I get you. But
that's
I've seen some road hard put away wet people. She's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I've seen worse.
I've had much worse than that walking.
Couple things. First of all, hate camel. Mwah. Oompa loompa doopity dope. Just say no. That was great. That was great.
Stay in schools, kids. Don't do drugs.
So first of all, Harry, don't feel like an asshole because that has been a survival technique of the human race for time immemorial to first assess danger based on look. Now, it might well be that someone who looks like this might be a very warm and welcoming and nice person, but your first look is your first look, and it is your first impression. Secondly, maybe I've been, because of my personal experiences growing up, have a little bit of a different experience because I remember my grade school bus driver who collected all the kiddies and brought them to school and took them home after school, who was the nicest man and very well suited for his job, but was, I was a kid at the time, so I don't know, but it was quite evident he had some mental issues, whether it was some level of some sort of cognitive impairment, like a Down syndrome kind of thing. And it was also evident in the way he looked, because he looked like Chunk from Stand By Me, the "Hey, you guys" guy. He was very unappealing to the eye, very weird and abnormal looking. But again, once you get past that, learn that he got this job through merit because he was an excellent driver, a safe driver, And once you got past that initial look, which, you know, I understand, was a nice enough fellow. Now, that wasn't to say that, you know, I'm not going to, you know, believe my eyes when I see somebody who looks a little sketchy. I'm still that type of person who, if I see a group of people, doesn't matter the color of their skin, but look very thugged out, I'm crossing the street and walking on the other sidewalk because I've had that kind of anyway. Yeah, I mean, no, I would take one look at this person and be like, oh, I'm going to be a little apprehensive and maybe watch my children for the first little while. And it's surprising that it took them, I think it was 9 months on the job until she got found out for selling drugs to kids or giving drugs to kids. I don't even know if she's selling it. Because even someone as myself, who is an avid anti-prohibitionist for these things, immediately draws the line at no kids. It always boils down to no animals, no kids. These people do not have the capability to consent to your degeneracy.
No.
So lock her up, give her the full extent of the law, and be done with it.
Yeah. Well, I have a few light things that we could talk about. So I feel like I have to do this one for functional. So there's like this video game. It says, imagine being being so bad at a game that the game itself tells you to refund it, along with detailed instructions on how to do so.
Harry, that's really tiny.
I am aware of that now.
Okay, just making sure. Oh, sorry. Wasn't trying to be a dick, I promise.
No, it's okay. I'm fixing it.
Which game is it?
I'm honestly not sure.
Oh, I know which this one is. I know what this is. Oh, fuck. It's like crypt something. God dang it. What?
Crack the fourth wall just a little. Frankly, I don't think this is the game for you.
Oh, I know what game this is. I know what game
was
this
type
is.
the word hit. I hinted,
Where is it?
I outright instructed you. I even
Cryptmaster.
used 2 separate tooltips. What I'm saying is, it's not my fault if you didn't get it. Now, I do hope you haven't been playing for more than 2 hours.
Okay, then he proceeds to give instructions on how to get your money back from Steam.
That is delicious because it seems like a directed raspberry to games journalists.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cryptmaster is also a weird game. But yeah, for anybody in chat who wishes to actually play that game or give it a try, it's called Cryptmaster.
I'm looking at it on Steam right now. Looks like some sort of almost first-person dungeon crawler.
It is.
Where there's lots of puzzles.
Yeah.
And
there's
good
a lot
puzzles like word puzzles.
Yeah, it's word puzzles. Yeah.
Well, if you did somebody say game with puzzles? Yeah, you did. After 25 years, monumental PC classic gets a full remake out soon.
Yeah,
no,
Myst
it's
is coming out. Yeah.
No, it's Riven, the sequel to Myst.
Oh yeah, Riven. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
so they're completely redoing it.
Yeah.
That's going to be pretty epic.
That was announced.
That's a game I may buy.
Yeah.
Play this game.
3 months ago, they were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Myst and Riven was such a cultural event.
They were talking about Myst being redone in Unreal Engine 5 too.
Well, Myst was like the first thing where it really felt immersive, where they really did world building and tried to drag you in. It was the first game I can think of that really did that. Because if you're cruising around Castle Wolfenstein or something, or playing Doom, it's not really immersive in the same way. Myst was world building, and it was the great granddaddy of all these things that we do now and take for granted. A remake of Riven sounds like it could be pretty damn amazing. It's going to be like $35.
They've shown the beginning, like, graphical changes, because I think because of who owns Riven. Tomorrow is Xbox's big showcase, so I think they're going to start showing more footage then tomorrow. So heads up for anybody who wants to watch it. Quippers, you shush.
Is Jack misbehaving again?
Shut up, Jack.
He says if it's as good as Myst, then I'll pass.
He's allowed to have his wrong opinion.
Yes, he is. That's the reason why I said shush.
But yeah, like Riven and Myst were such so revolutionary to an industry that was at the time still very, very, very niche.
Oh yeah,
very niche. It was not as powerful a juggernaut as it is today, and that's saying something. That's something, you know. It wasn't. I deign to use the word simple, but it was a fairly simple game by modern standards.
it was simple, but it wasn't easy because
No. The puzzles were very.
And you weren't going to get your
involving,
money
let's
back.
say.
Yeah, you weren't going to get.
You
Your
weren't
money
gonna
back.
get your
had to
money
You had to
back.
get through that shit. But yeah, I think Xbox's Game Pass, I think, has the original Myst and Riven on it. Yeah, it does. You can on Game Pass, you can play the original Myst and Riven.
Now, I didn't play either of these, but I did. I
read the
did.
books.
I had a friend who could not get past the musical puzzles in Myst.
The
So
musical
my
puzzles
friend
were
actually said, "Can you come over here and get me through these?" Because it wasn't like you could. Because I have like
Read about
very
it on
good,
the internet
I have
or-
very
Yeah, I
good
love
musical
that,
memory
yeah.
and stuff. So I literally had to go over to a friend's house and help my friend get past the musical puzzles in Myst.
which is understandable. The musical puzzles were a
They
pain
were
in the
hard.
booty. Yeah, they were hard.
And for somebody who
I
doesn't
had to do
have
the
like
same
good
thing, Harry.
musical memory and pitch recognition and
Oh,
stuff,
yeah,
it was
no.
like, holy shit.
The only reason why I was able to get through, sorry, Functional, I'll shut up right after I say this. The only reason why I was able to get past it, and this is a weird ass take, was because I played, I can't remember which Silent Hill it was, but the Silent Hill on N64 where there's the piano puzzle. That was the only, I had played that before I played Myst, and that was the only reason why I could get through the music puzzles, was because I had practice with that stupid piano puzzle at Silent Hill. That was the only reason why. Sorry, Functional, go ahead.
No, by all means, I talk enough as it is, so like to hear other people's opinions, great. I had the same experience, Harry, because as I've said multiple times, I'm not a musically inclined person. So much so that, like, you know, this is in the days of there wasn't any real internet to speak of.
Or you had to call the
game
hotline.
guides. This is even before game guides. You know, like your Nintendo Powers and those kinds of things that came out to give people help on how do you beat this boss in Zelda and stuff like that. Like, this is predating that. So 2 years after the game came out, they finally had this book of all the help and but I mean, at that point, it's kind of ruining the point of Myst and Riven.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if you weren't musically inclined, you didn't know notes, you didn't know pitch and all that, like you were in some trouble and you weren't getting past some of these puzzles. You didn't know mathematics or the alphabet, you know, these things. But if you didn't, what it did would inspire you to seek help and to maybe possibly learn something. And I, you know, at the time, again, I'm still, even today, very musically uninclined. But I know the difference between like a G flat and an F sharp now. Even you know, back then I was kind of like,
I can't remember.
I don't get it.
I can't remember.
What's
if
the
it was
difference
Myst-
between a G flat and an F sharp tonal?
One sounds differently.
Oh, really?
Skep, when I say I know nothing about music, like I know.
Okay.
Yeah, when you preface
think
it with
those are
"I
the
don't
same
know,"
note.
that
I think those are the same note.
Myst is dull, Jack, if it's just not that type of puzzle stuff you're into, which is completely valid and fair.
Yeah.
I just told you showed up as a joke. But it's one of those things like if I am in the mood for a puzzle game, like an actual legit, I'm not having to fight things off of me while I'm trying to do the puzzle game. Myst is a fun game. They're not exactly the same. There's similarities, yes, but that's like saying, Prince of Persia and the Assassin's Creed games are the same. Like, there's differences between them that make them interesting. And the world, like, there's actual world building. Like, there's actual really cool stuff in it that kind of like takes you through the world. And there's a lot of games that have done similar stuff that have done really well with it. There was, God, what was it? There was the Roman one. It was like it was Future something. I'm gonna have to look it up. But it was basically you bounce back and forth through time between the ancient Roman Empire and a robotic society to kind of get through it. And those are I'm sorry.
What inspired BioShock.
Yeah. Oh God, what was the one that?
And you know what, son of a bitch, Skep, you're right. An F sharp and a G flat are the same note. See,
Yes.
this is how
See, now you learned something.
unlearned. No, but see, that's something I did learn in the past, but kind of forgot because, like, again, it's kind of giving me a puzzle piece to this giant puzzle that I don't have. Yeah, the more I know.
I had to use that twice, which is pretty awesome. I have two more.
I mean, I have expertise in other.
But I have two more things I want to show you before we go, because we could go for another hour, not a problem.
We got good energy tonight. We could go for another.
Yeah, we got it's good. So I want to show you. You know, men, we are awesome. I know we get a lot of crap for not doing things the right way from the women of the world, and we're told what our deficiencies are on a regular basis. But I think men, we're doing a pretty good job. Let me show you. This is a video from a group of guys that do weird cooking things on the job site. Now, just bear with me.
Chef to come out to the job site and cook lunch. He was like, "Where's your grill?" I just pointed and said, "Right here. We're going to use the skid steer bucket." I set it up on some blocks and put a propane torch underneath for heat. This guy was so fast, it was awesome to watch. I should hire him to frame my next house.
He basically, let's all have lunch. So let's just set this up as hibachi and make all this stuff. And this is good. Okay, this is good. But they did
like
one.
Benihana train guy.
Yeah, but they did one that I thought was even better. They made an enormous pizza on the job site.
We attempted to cook a massive pizza on the job site using a custom 4-foot pan and a smooth drum roller to roll the dough. First, I blew flour all over the drum with a leaf blower. We didn't want 25 pounds of dough sticking to the roller. Now I know what you're thinking. Yes, we cleaned the roller drum, at least the part that would touch the dough. I stacked 2 1/4-inch boards on either side, minus the thickness of the pan. This gave us a 3/8-inch crust, which worked out perfect. I used a concrete float to spread the sauce. This worked awesome. Honestly, if I had my own pizza shop, this is how I would do it. 3 full hard hats of mozzarella and pepperoni sliced with my Milwaukee hacksaw. We built an oven with some leftover blocks and brick and used charcoal to heat it. This pizza was crazy heavy, so we used the cat to get it into the oven. Once it was in place, we covered the oven with aluminum to drop in the heat. All we had to do now was wait and enjoy some cold drinks. We couldn't believe how well this thing turned out. It looked and smelled amazing.
That is so much better than they have any right for it to be.
Yes, that's really an amazing achievement.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you, Functional.
No, it's fine. I love it too, Skep, but the chef in me is just screaming to like slap somebody.
It's pretty awesome, but terrible, but awesome.
It's not the correct way to fix a pizza. And I can understand that, you know, there are things that, you know, when I see guitarists do that make my skin crawl. I can appreciate that feeling that you must see with all these culinary sins being committed with malice and forethought right in front of you.
But he put flour on the roller using a leaf
I
blower.
love that. I saw the flour on the roller. And I just thought this guy's got it going on. He understands.
By the way, this whole channel does
right
this.
with 1.2 million upvotes and probably how many more views. So
yeah,
I mean, you're doing something right, but it I immediately see it as what it is it's a gimmick to get eyeballs, which you know, again, fine. I don't have a problem with, because again, a free market is great, and if this is the market that they've found their niche, awesome. Because like looking at some of their construction videos, I can see 1.8 mil, 3.3, 300,000, 500,000.
Is he actually teaching a dog how to drive a trailer? That's pretty funny. No, I don't see a dog. Okay, well, never mind. But anyway, I like this channel because I think it's funny, and it's called Houseplants. HAUS plans. Houseplants.
What is a house?
It's a house.
The house plans.
Yeah. Get to the chopper.
I mean, they're doing some hard labor and building stuff, but they're also seem like they're having a blast doing it. So fucking awesome.
House plans. No, I enjoyed that. I think, you know, making giant pancakes, all that sort of stuff. I think this is fun. And I think if you leave a bunch of men And in a place where they need to eat and they've got a little bit of free time on their hands, you're going to see something amazing happen. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've used a backhoe to, in the middle of a job site to dig a hole so we could have a
Roast pig or
berry
something. Yeah.
roast or something. You know, you set up the coals. You do this all before you actually start working for the day. Early in the morning, set up the hot coals, bury the meat or whatever. By the time lunchtime comes around and you unearth that bitch, like everybody's eating like a king right then and there. And then you get back into the job site and the other half of the day doesn't seem so bad because you had a delicious, like, just perfect meal for lunch and not just something like, you know, PB&J on toast or something. Not that there's something wrong with PB&J on toast. It's just kind of a little boring.
Yeah. Well, I think we should probably call it because we've been going for 2 hours and some number of minutes, and it's time to start thinking about not doing this any longer.
2 hours
for today.
And 9 minutes.
Yeah, 2 hours and 11 minutes. Not because we have to remember the intro
Oh,
video.
Well, because I was 10 minutes late, so that kind of
So, shall we call it? Any last any final statements from anybody? Serenity, you got anything?
Nope, I'm good.
Functional?
I hope.
No. Actually, yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of obtaining the black kitten Onyxia. So that was
Yay!
Yeah. Do
little
not let
milestone.
him play on the wing of the airplane.
No, she will not like that. Although she was
Sorry, I
rubbing the
misgendered your cat.
microphone.
Sorry.
Yeah. She was rubbing the microphone earlier when you were talking.
Oh, good.
She wanted to come say hello to you, but
I have that effect on cats. I have like this whole Dr. Doolittle thing going on with cats. It's pretty funny. Skep?
I just want to say that I hope I go out flying a plane when I'm 90 years old. I just thought that was so ballsy.
A jet
He was
plane.
still doing that.
Yeah.
It's just so awesome.
It wasn't even a Cessna. It was like a proper grown
No, it
ass.
was a Mentor. It was a Mentor. It
Yeah.
was it's
Still a jet plane. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the jet trainer that is used by the Air Force, actually.
Yep.
Or it was used by the Air Force. I don't know.
It's used by a lot of people. It's a great plane.
Also,
yeah.
side note, I just want to say this. Congratulations to the American cricket team for kicking the pants off Pakistan. Fuck you, Pakistan.
Yeah. I think we all agree, fuck you, Pakistan. And with that,
That was great.
Sue's close.